Good evening, everyone. This is Joni. I'm back tonight to. This is more for a beginner crafter, um, just to kind of go over some of the tools, the basic essentials, and then going into more of the tools that intermediate and like expert crafters use. So the first thing I wanted to show you, the most important thing, is a ruler and a pencil and a pair of scissors. And I started off just using whatever scissors I had in the house. It could be Dollar Tree scissors, kid scissors, whatever scissors you have, and a ruler, to make cuts and lines, and so that you can make your cuts. It's a little harder to do it that way, and you can't do it as precise, but you can do it. So I started out with the Dollar Tree scissors, and then as time went on, I was doing more crafting and a lot of cutting, and so this is how I ended up getting the nicer scissors. I was cleaning the blade with just like an alcohol prep pad, because there was a lot of adhesive from my washi tape stuck on the blade of the scissors. So I'm just doing this and not paying attention, and I cut my finger open. So I was up to date on my tetanus shot, but I had a nice slice in my finger. So I decided, enough with the cleaning the scissors. I'm going to buy a better pair of scissors. I'd only known about these kind of scissors from YouTube, people showing me the tools that they use. So I bought this scissor, and it says it's made out of titanium, and it is non-stick. It says titanium non-stick, and the company that makes it is called Westcott. And I got these at Staples. I don't know if they sell them at Michael's and Joann's. I would imagine they probably do. I just never looked for them there. The closest store to me after I had cut my finger was Staples, so I just ran in there quick and got them. And they were I think they were like $12 or $14. I mean, it is kind of a lot of money to spend, but it's an investment in your hobby, or for some people, their careers. There are people that they do this for a living. Um, they sell things on Etsy, they go to craft fairs and sell what they make, and um, so that's that. It is recommended that this scissor, I would make this just my paper scissor kind of thing. I wouldn't use this to cut just anything. If you want to keep your scissor working, fine. I would go back to this bulky old scissor if I was like cutting a box, or, you know, cutting something thicker. And in sewing, they recommend the same thing, that you use the one scissor just for cutting material. Um, and it's just to keep your scissor functioning well for longer. You'll get a longer life out of it. So that was my first thing that I got, was scissors, and a ruler out of my kitchen drawer. And then a friend invited me to her house to this scrapbooking party. I didn't know what it was, or I mean, I had made scrapbooks when I was in high school, but this was more, doing a really good job cutting out shapes and lining things up and measuring. And so, and the party was kind of like, a Tupperware party. You go there, they put all their tools out on the table, and you bring photos with you and a photo album, and then they let you play with their tools. And then the expectation is that you'll love it and you'll buy something at the end of the evening. So what I bought was something I thought was real important. I bought this is a guillotine cutter. because it cuts like that with the chopping. You know, and this is made for something small like photos. This measures, I believe, 5 by 7. So, you know, when you're talking about big pieces of paper, you can't use this for that. You know, it just won't fit. But when I was doing scrapbooking, you know, in photo albums, this is what I was using, and I love it. It always gave me a good cut. Um, it's probably 10 years old, and I still use it to this day, you know, for smaller things. It's just very easy to work, and it works well. I've actually thought at times of getting a guillotine cutter in a larger one, because you'll get an exact cut every time with that. So then, going back to the scrapbooking, I got a corner rounder, um, so that I could round the corners of my photos and put them in for a nicer look. And so all you do, you put your piece of paper or your photo in just like that. You push it in the corner and you click. This is cardstock, so it's a little harder to cut, but you see, I got a rounded corner. So that was, you know, another tool that I bought that went with the scrapbooking. And what else? Oh, glue. You need glue for scrapbooking. So, you know, there's a bunch of different kinds of glue that you can use. You know, I use a lot of times for scrapbooking, I use, you know, the two-sided adhesive, like the tape runner. And you just put this on your paper, run it across. It's almost like a whiteout it operates, you know. You run it across, and you're not going to be able to see this. Oh, maybe right here, this line, and it gives you a line of adhesive. So, that's what I was using for scrapbooking. And, you know, you don't have to wait for it to dry or anything else. And it does keep the photos in place for a very long time. And I believe this is a permanent tape. So once you place something on it, you can't move it around a whole lot, or you're going to rip the backing off of it. But as you get better, you know, you're finding you're not repositioning things all the time. There's other glues here. The glue stick, and I get my glue sticks at the Dollar Tree. The kids' glue sticks, you know, and I use those. Or I buy like, you know, an 8-pack. This is Jot. This was a back to school time I bought this. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's 8 glue sticks in it, and I use this. And this gives you a little more wiggle room. You can reposition things, move them, you know, for a little bit of time, and you know, it's not going to rip the back of your paper off. You can use just regular school glue or Elmer's glue, or but you know, you have to wait for that to dry. But for some things, we call it a wet glue, is actually better. And then they have glue like this that, you know, you rub on. It has a sponge at the end. This one too, this liquid, you know, there's all different kinds of glues for different things that you're working on. But so that's, you know, an essential when you start crafting. But going back to the cutters, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. My first paper trimmer, actually is what it's called, was this one. It's made by Fiskars. I think almost everybody who starts out crafting uses this one. And with that same piece of paper, I'll show you. You put your piece of paper on the platform, you lift that up, you put it underneath, and there's a blade on this, and voila, I have my cut perfectly straight. Now, the only thing that I realized with this was that I used it an awful lot at first, and you can't see it, but in here, here's your blade. It's a tiny, tiny little blade. You can see it right there, and these can be replaced if they get dull. but it runs, what keeps it running straight is a cord. It almost looks like a very skinny guitar string. And so after a while, that gets a little stretched out, I think, and all of a sudden your cuts don't look, like one side of your paper is, thinner. It starts to, get thinner on one side. It doesn't make an exact cut anymore. But I got a lot of time out of my first one. So when I bought my second one, I wanted one with a larger base. This part of it, platform base, I don't know what you call it. So I bought this one. Operates the same way. You measure, your cut by, this is the beginning, and you say you want a 10-inch piece of paper. You would line it up at the 10 right here, 10-inch right here, and your cut would be here, and it would go to the 10 up here, and it took me a little while to figure that out. So that's what you use this for, this arm thing, and that's really important to have that. It does also have measurements on both sides. It gives you measurements here in these little boxes. But again, it was the same kind of trimmer. The guitar cord, string, whatever you want to call it, got loose, and my cuts were getting less precise. So I bought this one, again, made by Fiskars. The base is not as wide. It has the thingy that you open up, you put your piece of paper under, you put this down, and you push this down. I'll show you. You push this down, and that didn't work. This is really awkward. I should have just directed the camera another way. You push it down, and I can't do it not on a flat surface, but you push this down as you're running it across the piece of paper, and this is not guided by a string. It is guided by this bar, so you'll get a straight cut every time. I will tell you, when I first started using it, I found it hard. It was, like kind of getting stiff and stuck. But so it does take a little breaking in. You could ask 50 different people, which is the best one to use, and you'll probably get 50 different answers. A lot of companies make them. Just buy one and see what you like about it or you don't like about it. And that's the only way to find out. So we talked about glue, we talked about scissors, glue guns. My first glue gun was one like this. Cheap one, cost, $2, and you just used it. Sorry, I'm facing it the wrong way. But as I got better, I thought, maybe bigger is better, so I got a bigger one. I got this one. And what I looked for in it is, because you can get really burnt badly, blistering badly with hot glue, or if you touch the tip of this. So I looked for one with 2 temp. And this is how you set it over here. That orangey red part is, you would push it up and you would be at the hotter setting. Push it down, you'd be at the cooler setting. And the cooler setting, you're less likely to get burnt by the glue. You still can get burnt if you touch this tip, though. It gets very hot. So I bought that one. Then the third one I got as a gift. Here it is. It is made by Craftsman, bought in Sears in the tool section, and I gotta tell you, I don't often use this because this gets piping hot, horribly hot, like you will definitely burn yourself, and eventually we all burn ourselves with our glue guns. So I don't use this one that much, but it is a good glue gun, just it's very, very hot. Guys, I'm gonna have to end this and do a part 2, so I'll see you in a few minutes.